I never believed in ghosts, or at least I told myself that for years. But when I first saw the Whitmore estate, standing alone at the edge of the moor beneath a sky heavy with storm clouds, something inside me shifted. It was a house that time had forgotten, windows shattered, paint peeling like dying leaves, the stone walls swallowed in ivy and shadow. I came not for adventure or curiosity. I came because I felt a calling, a pull I could not resist. The locals whispered stories of disappearances, of madness, of a family that vanished without a trace. But I was a woman of logic, and I sought the truth behind the rumors. The gate creaked as I pushed it open. The path was overgrown, tangled with weeds that grasped at my ankles. I paused, feeling the chill seep into my bones. The air was thick, heavy with a scent I couldn't place. Old wood, earth, and something else. Something sorrowful. The front door groaned as I entered. The house was vast and empty, save for dust and shadows. My footsteps echoed down the long hallway, past faded portraits whose eyes seemed to follow me. In the parlor, moonlight spilled through a broken window, illuminating a grand piano. Its keys yellowed and cracked. I touched one gently. The note hung in the air like a whisper from the past. On the mantel lay a leather-bound diary, its pages brittle and yellowed. I opened it, and the scrawled handwriting pulled me into Eleanor Whitmore's world, a woman trapped by fear and loneliness, haunted not only by the ghosts of the house, but by something far darker. "They come in the night," Eleanor wrote, "whispering promises I dare not keep. They want me to stay forever, to join their endless vigil." Night came, and with it, the whispers. They drifted through the cracks in the walls, cold and soft as falling leaves. Shadows flickered just beyond my vision, elusive and mocking. Sleep fled me. Each dream was a labyrinth of dark corridors and unseen eyes. The house breathed around me, alive with a memory that refused to die. I found myself drawn to the attic, where an ancient mirror stood, cracked and clouded with age. When I looked into it, I did not see my own reflection, but Eleanor's, pale and desperate, her eyes filled with silent pleas. She reached out, and I felt a coldness seep into my very soul. The house wanted me, just as it had wanted her, and I knew, deep down, that to escape, I would have to confront the darkness lurking within the walls and within myself. Days blurred into one another, the sun rising and falling behind thick clouds that never fully broke. The house seemed to live and breathe around me, its every creak and sigh pressing into my skin like cold fingers. I wandered the rooms, each filled with relics of a life long gone, faded wallpaper peeling like dead skin, tarnished silverware still set on a dining table for guests who would never come. I found a stack of old letters tied with a brittle ribbon, their ink faded but the anguish still bleeding through the words. Eleanor's voice echoed from their pages, recounting secret meetings, whispered betrayals, and a darkness that spread through the family like a poison. The nights were worse. Whispers rose from the walls, unintelligible at first, then growing clearer, a chorus of voices begging, threatening, mourning. I could never tell if they were inside my head or just beyond the veil of reality. One evening, as I sat by the fireplace, the flames sputtered and died, plunging the room into icy darkness. A presence filled the air, unseen but heavy, watching. My breath caught as a cold hand brushed my arm. I spun around. Nothing. But in the mirror across the room, a figure lingered. Eleanor, translucent and sorrowful, reaching out as if to pull me into her endless night. I stumbled back, heart hammering. The house was no longer just a building. It was a living nightmare, and I was its newest prisoner. Desperation drove me to the basement, a place I had avoided until then. The stairs groaned underfoot as I descended into a labyrinth of stone walls slick with moisture. At the end of a narrow corridor, I found a door, locked tight with rusted iron. I searched for a key, finding it hidden beneath a loose stone. Inside, a small chamber held a circle of ancient symbols scrawled on the floor, faded but still potent. A cold wind swirled within, carrying voices that seemed to chant in a language long forgotten. I realized then that the house's curse was not just a haunting, but a binding, a prison forged from grief and rage, trapping souls in endless twilight. I had to break it. Standing within the circle, the air thickened, heavy with centuries of sorrow and unspoken secrets. I could almost hear the heartbeat of the house beneath my feet, a slow, steady thump, like a mourning drum, echoing through the stone walls. The shadows around me writhed as if alive, reaching out with invisible fingers to claim me. My hands trembled as I traced the faded symbols, feeling the cold stone beneath my fingertips. A whisper brushed against my ear, a soft, desperate voice calling my name. Stay. Stay with us. I wanted to flee, to run back to the light, but something held me there. The same force that had drawn me here in the first place. I closed my eyes and remembered Eleanor's words from the diary, her warnings, her pleas for freedom. I will not be your prisoner, I whispered. The voice wavered, but determination flared within me. Suddenly, the room plunged into darkness. The walls seemed to close in, the air thick with the scent of decay and loss. Figures appeared at the edges of my vision, shadowy, indistinct forms that circled slowly, their faces twisted in eternal torment. One stepped forward, a woman with hollow eyes, her lips moving but no sound escaping. She reached out to me, her touch cold as death. Fear surged through my veins, yet I stood my ground. From my pocket, I pulled Eleanor's diary, holding it like a talisman. The pages fluttered open to a passage marked with a trembling hand, a ritual to break the curse, a chance to free the trapped souls. I began to read aloud, voice steady despite the quaking inside me. The words filled the chamber, weaving a fragile thread of light into the encroaching darkness. The house trembled, a low groan escaping its ancient bones. Shadows screamed silently, swirling in a tempest of grief and rage. But the light grew stronger, pushing back the night. As I finished the final words, a sudden silence fell, profound and complete. The oppressive weight lifted, replaced by a fragile peace. When I opened my eyes, the chamber was empty. The shadows had vanished. The cold receded like a tide pulling away from the shore. I stumbled outside into the dawn's first light, the Whitmore estate behind me now just a hollow shell, freed from its centuries-old curse. But in the quiet morning breeze, I could still hear a faint whisper, soft and grateful, a reminder that some stories never truly end.